Copying Tim Cook, Drake's Accusations, and MacBook Pro speaker repairs. This is Mac Voices. Mac Voices is brought to you by the 2024 MacVoices Holiday Gift Guide. Gift ideas to give and get from all your Mac Voices friends. Hardware, coffee, bags, you never know what will be picked, but they're all great. Find our gift guide shows in the feeds, or visit the master list of gift guide picks in the blog section of the Mac Voices website at macvoices.com. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is Mac Voices Live. This would be Thanksgiving Eve edition. So this probably will not go out on the feeds until quite a bit later because we are stacked up with a lot of things we want to get out. But just want to make sure you understand some of the references that there will be in this show. It's Tuesday night. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can join us on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV every Tuesday at 8 p.m., 5 p.m. Pacific if you are so inclined or if you dare. And sometimes I think the latter applies more than the former.
Yes.
So we're going to have a little fun tonight. We have some stories and inevitable talks about the holidays. So we'll just get right to it with this bunch of turkeys. Up in the top right of my screen, no, the top left of my screen, I don't know my right from my left. David Ginsburg is here. David, good to have you.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me as always. And happy Thanksgiving to all by the time you hear this. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Let's
absolutely is. It absolutely is. Speaking of turkeys, we have one person that brought some with him, Mr. Eric Bolden. Eric, good to see you. Did you go out? Did you take that picture?
Yeah, but I had to go all the way back to 2021 because the turkeys this year are fast. So they weren't very photogenic. They were blurry and dark. So I went back in time and I got one from a previous year. But, as you can see, the turkeys are fully dressed.
Yeah. It's
unlike some of us. Chuck.
You should have seen that coming, Eric, when you said it. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs is here too, decked out in black and white. I like it. I like it.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Is there any particular significance to the black and white, or?
No significance. It's the Tuesday.
Okay, just checking. Marty Jencius is a bit brighter in orange tonight. Marty, good to see you and sporting your Apple Vision Pro pin.
Yep. Hey, Chuck, I got a question for you. Have you ever had to make 40 hand-rolled tamales?
No.
Okay, then we have nothing to talk about.
And why are you here?
A better question is, what are you going to do with 40 hand-rolled tamales?
Freeze them and take them. They're downstairs in the pot right now, cooling down a bit. I'm going to freeze them and take them on a holiday trip.
Okay, that's nice. I like it.
My tamales do not get any vacations.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Well, so he's going to take them on a. He's going to take the tamales on a trip, like they're gonna. The tamales are going to party.
They may be the party. I don't know. Speaking of parties, Mr. Jeff Gamet is here. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing all right, and I'm happy to see everyone.
Okay, now, folks, if you're watching the video, what I want you to do is I want you to rewind about 30, 45 seconds and watch how Eric stopped taking his drink when he realized I was introducing Jeff. Because
I don't get it.
It was going to his lips, and then he put it back down real quick. It's just like, no, this is not a good idea. Your reputation precedes you, Jeff.
I really don't understand.
Just being cautious.
Yeah, we'll explain it later.
Draw me a picture.
Yeah. Webb Bixby is here tonight, sporting his black, white, and purple. His wife's black, white, and purple quilt. I want to give her full credit. Webb, good to see you.
You should. Good. Yeah, good to see you too. Hey, did you ever do any swag? Do you ever do any MacVoices T-shirts or anything like that?
I've done them in the past. Haven't done them for a while. Why do you have an idea?
Tracy was thinking about trying to do a MacVoices quilt. So now you know.
Ooh.
By the way, thank you. You guys helped me spend money. I'm using the new Instalink 2 camera.
Nice.
Very nice.
That's why you look even more beautiful than usual.
Yeah.
It's good lighting.
Well, but Webb, it's funny you say that because I was looking at it a couple recordings this week and thinking, there is a difference. I mean, it's not like a 460 to a 1080p difference, but there is a definite difference as far as light and shading and color and detail. It's quite the camera.
Well, I have the old one hooked up. Now I could try to switch back and forth, but I'm afraid it might make Zoom upset if I did that. So
yeah.
So maybe after dark we'll play with it. And I may say goodnight early. So
inadvertently. Last but absolutely not least, the man who doesn't take his tamales on vacation, Mr. Jim Rea. Jim, good to see you.
You ask Jeff how he's doing, but you don't ask me.
Well, okay. How are you doing, Jim?
I am stuck on a Zoom call with some very weird characters and Webb.
And Webb.
I'm not sure.
Am I weirder than most?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Webb. I don't know if you were on the top side or the bottom side of that comment. So,
I think he was on the top side.
It's an honor just to be mentioned, So.
Well, we have a few things this week. The last few weeks, it seems like we've just had a lot stacked up. This week, we don't have quite as many. Probably not a big surprise, given that we're headed toward the holiday. The first one, though, I want to throw out, and there have been a number of things written up about this, that other tech CEOs and other CEOs in general are trying to copy Tim Cook's approach to interacting with President-elect Trump. And this particular article talks about just how simple Tim's formula has been, and yet why it's so hard to copy. I don't really have a specific comment on this, other than to say that Tim is doing what he needs to be doing as a CEO, as opposed to playing politics like some have. He's just dealing with the guy that's in power and maintaining relationships with the guys that could be in power. And there you go. It seems to be paying off. Anybody else see this article or related articles and have any thoughts on this whole approach?
Tim is doing what Apple does, which is control the narrative. And it doesn't matter if it's the media, consumers, or politicians. That's what Apple does. So, of course, Tim is going to strategically work to control Apple's narrative all the way up into the Oval Office, and that's exactly what he's doing. He has done the same with President Biden, although you haven't seen public meetings like we did previously. But still, Tim is very shrewd, and he's controlling the narrative. And if you're going into a new administration where you don't know exactly what's going to happen, you don't want to be reactive. You want to be proactive. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, and you also got the pending tariffs he's talking about raising, and I don't want to get too political, but Tim Cook is in China this week, and he's talking to the government there as well. To, like you said, the narrative. He wants to keep the good relations with China, and because they do a lot of business there. So got some interesting things to deal with coming here.
Yeah.
I like the end of this article where it says that it may be difficult for other CEOs to replicate this strategy. And I could see how that's true, seeing as here's step one: become CEO of the world's largest corporation.
That helps.
That definitely helps.
Yeah, but as such, there are some CEOs I can think of that we shall not name who seem to throw their weight around a little bit more. And Tim doesn't. The impression I have, I mean, I've never been in those meetings, obviously, but the impression I have is that he doesn't throw his weight around. He, as this article says, he picks one topic and explains it to the point that the individual can understand it and appreciate the challenges and the position, as opposed to trying to say, I want to talk about these 25 things. So I think there's some lessons here for a lot of people in a lot of areas, in a world that seems to have shorter and shorter attention spans, that maybe it's time that, if you have a message that you really want to communicate, that you focus a bit more and take the time to focus.
Well, I think another aspect of this is, how did Tim Cook get to be the CEO of the world's largest corporation? Well, he got along with Steve Jobs, which that's not always the
That's
easiest
saying a
thing
lot
to do,
right
right?
there.
Yeah, a lot, quite a lot.
Yeah, similar to what David mentioned earlier about the potential tariffs, just having, an ability to talk to the president-elect about, the impact of the company and potentially, his point of view on how that may impact the economy.
Yeah, and there've been we don't know all the details of the tariffs. I mean, it was the hot news headline, I guess, yesterday that came out over the weekend, but it was kind of short on some details of exactly how they would be implemented. And there's some evidence, I think, that China, along with some of the other companies, aren't anxious to necessarily get into a big trade war over this. They want to try to figure out a way to work. And that's something Trump is known for, is deal making. So we'll see how it goes. Webb?
I just real brief. I agree with everything that Jeff said, that this is really nothing more than trying to dominate the narrative, if you will. And Apple's very good at that. They want to get their story out first. And they've been doing that for a long time. I also think Tim Cook is a real cool cucumber. He's not going to get controversial. He's the opposite of, name him, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, whoever. He's not going to act that way. He's going to be very calm, cool, calculated in what he says and how he says it and who he says it to, what the audience is. And he's not going to say too much. He's not going to overstate anything. We could probably sit here and diagnose everything he's ever said, and there are going to be exceptions to that. But for the most part, I think that he's as we said, the CEO of the world's largest corporation, and he's talking to, whether we like it or not, he's talking to the president of the United States, or soon to be. He hasn't been sworn in for the second term yet, but he wants to keep those channels open for whatever reason, tariffs, whatever. So anyway, I think it says a lot about what kind of CEO Tim is, and I think it's pretty cool.
And Webb, you bring up an interesting point, that even when Tim is commenting on controversial things, he's just that cool. The most riled up I can remember him getting was in a shareholders meeting that they were challenging some of the I guess the ecological initiatives at Apple.
Yeah.
And then he got a little bit heated from what the report said. But other than that, I don't remember hearing a time that Tim really got all cranked up, and like we see so many CEOs do. So, Marty?
I'm walking the thin line here. I think Tim Apple has the patience of Job. That's not the thin line. That's not the thin line. The thin line is when you describe the president-elect as being known for being a good deal maker. He kind of throws hand grenades in rooms full of people, walks away, lets them explode, and then comes back and go, who made the mess? And if that's a deal making strategy, then that's a deal making strategy. I think Tim did what he needed to do in the position that he was. Like Jim, I think first you got to get to that position, and to get to that position, you have to be able to do this type of networking, negotiation, whatever you want to call it. But the news about the tariffs is the president-elect's not letting go of that. So we'll see. And we know Tim got around those the last time. So,
yeah. The only thing, Marty, I'll say is, yes, I think rolling a hand grenade into the room is a deal-making strategy because everybody is instantly on the defense. So whether you agree with that, whether you like it, I've seen it done, and not by Mr. Trump, just in more mundane matters. And it is interesting to watch what happens, how people react to that kind of stress. So this is another one. Honestly, I'm having trouble. I have trouble caring about this myself, but apparently some people do. That Drake is trying to rope Apple and Siri into his feud with rival Kendrick Lamar. Allegedly, according to the article, allegedly saying that Siri I'm sorry, I'm using the word. The S lady redirects people to Kendrick Lamar's track as opposed to Drake's. The fact that he's biting back at Apple, I think, is kind of interesting because I thought he's had a pretty good relationship with Apple. I just can't get excited over this, but it seems to be a hot thing for those in that particular community. Does anybody here care?
I'm hearing about this for the very first time right now, and what the hell?
Well, thanks for the publicity.
Yeah, I need to figure out what's going on here before I can feign intelligence on this one.
Well, I mean, look at the last sentence in this article. Use S-Lady to play Certified Lover Boy on Apple Music, and it plays the correct track. So maybe Drake should be suing Spotify for being rubbish.
I mean, I don't know. Look, we've had plenty of discussions about Siri and not getting accurate results for what we want. So if I ask it to play a certain track by a certain artist and it plays something different, I don't suspect bad intentions. I just figure it got it wrong and I just need to say it again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
so
S-Lady is not perfect. There's by no means.
Well,
yeah.
And if she's getting it wrong on somebody else's service, I'm not entirely sure you can. She's just passing along a message of a request. It sounds like it's playing telephone.
I like the third comment on this article. Person says he'll pay Siri to never tell him about Drake or Kendrick Lamar, or it says Lamar's, but ever again.
That may not have.
I'm with Araya MJH.
That may not have been a typo, Jim. May have been a very real comment. I don't know. I mean, it just, and I have to wonder though, is this the opening shot in something as we go forward? Is this something that is going to, we're going to see a lot more of?
Maybe from Drake. I'm really having a hard time with this. I have read through the whole article and then reread parts of it. And I'm still at a loss as to why he thinks Apple is intentionally screwing him. Like, does he have evidence that Apple is intentionally redirecting searches? Because apparently that's what is being claimed in the lawsuit.
well, you know how it is, Jeff. You can put anything in the pleadings. It'll be interesting to see what happens if and when this goes forward. I just can't figure out why you would potentially alienate one of the large streaming music services in this way. So,
yeah, but if you're just making accusations out of whole cloth, and I don't know if that's what's happening, but from the filing on information and belief, UMG, which means Universal Music Group, paid or approved payments to Apple to have its voice activated assistant purposely misdirect users to not like us. Okay, that's a pretty big statement. And if you don't have anything to back that up when you get into court, that's going to be a real problem for you. And it's going to absolutely lead to counter lawsuits against you for making stuff up like this.
And given that we're talking about Apple, how much money would it take? How much in payola would it take to have Apple try to redirect anything to somebody else? I mean, that's the part that just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think
Drake give Apple the deed to an entire country at this point.
Yeah,
just like, here, you want Australia? It is yours. It is now Apple Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Brian?
I saw a line there in the article that I felt particularly interesting too. It mentioned that, while people are asking S Lady to play this song, I guess it's the exact same result on the competing Spotify service as well. So it just seems odd that, it doesn't seem to be a Apple specific problem anyways.
I don't think we know enough about it. Frankly, I don't care enough about it. Mm-hmm. So if anybody here cares enough, please feel free to do some research.
Yeah. I don't think Drake knows enough about it, nor does Drake lawyers. But by filing a lawsuit, now we've got an article, we've got some attention. People are, going to say this is what's going on. It's just him.
Maybe it is. It's a pretty strange publicity stunt that seems to be fraught with a lot of dangers, but I guess it's possible.
In this case, is this just like the Apple story where it's not the important thing is to control the narrative, and to control the narrative, you got to get out there first. And that's what Kendrick Lamar is doing right now is just trying to get the story out there first before anyone else has to respond back to it.
Is there a narrative to be controlled, Webb?
Yeah,
I go with your logic, but I can't figure out what the narrative is.
I think the narrative would be, my song should be played more than their song.
I got to admit, I've never asked the S Lady to play a Kendrick Lamar or a Drake song. I never have. So I haven't tested it.
How many others on this panel would be able to say the same thing?
Yeah.
Show of hands.
I haven't.
I don't know who these people are.
Brian, I didn't see your hand go up.
No, sorry. Yeah, I don't follow these guys either.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Marty, you had a comment about the cover?
Yeah, I just, and I'm not a prude by any sense. You guys know this by now, particularly off camera, but it's a picture of 12 emojis of women who are pregnant holding their bellies. And to me, and it's the cover of Certified Lover Boy by Drake. Now, you can see some humor in that, but it also is really kind of objectifying women in the process. So,
Nope,
or objectifying emojis of women, or memojis.
No, fair point. Fair point. So Apple has made a change in the way they are, I guess, building and repairing speakers on the MacBooks now. That before they would have to replace the entire lid, and now they will be replacing or repairing just the speakers if there are problems, which will obviously drive down repair prices quite nicely. So I feel like this is something that we've seen Apple slowly getting better with repair issues on some of their devices. Is this part of the trend? Jeff, I thought you were going to say something.
I was, and then I thought I should actually read some of this before I speak.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm so unprepared tonight because I'm to be just absolutely honest. When my niece called and said, "Hey, are you free today? Can I come hang out?" I immediately cleared my calendar and said, "I am free all day." And so I'm sorry, Chuck. She was my priority.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a fine priority. No.
All right. So now I will say something.
Okay.
This is actually what? This seems like a really smart move to me because anytime you say, "Oh, we're going to replace this one component, we replace the uppercase," that's significant because uppercase means speakers, microphones, keyboard, trackpad, battery. That is a huge expense to replace all of that for one failed component. So making it possible to swap out elements instead of the entire top case, that's great.
I mean, I think all the manufacturers want to do it that way. I mean, I've experienced with Dell, of course, and there's times where it was more economical just to replace the entire top cover or the entire screen as opposed to all the components that go with it. If you can manufacture the part so it includes all of those components in one place, it makes only sense to do that. But things like cameras and touch pads and any things that can be small components, I think many of the manufacturers are looking to do it that way only because, it's like you said, Jeff, it's a very costly repair to have to do all those components at once if they're all contained into one part.
Yeah, so I like it. I like the fact they're doing it. Marty? Oh, you're muted, Marty.
I don't know if this has any relationship, but I've been following some stuff on Reddit where people are saying, how come these little white dots are appearing in my speaker grill? And I can't seem to clean them out. They assume that it's dust or particles that have gotten into the speaker grill. And what it really is the padding, I think, in the speaker that's coming up and coming through the grill from use. So it just seems that if you could take the speaker out easily and replace it, that would be much better than having to replace the whole top side.
I have not seen any of those reports, Marty. That's interesting. So it's the foam or the part of the speaker, or is just the mount around it that the speculation is?
It's some part of the speaker that's coming through because people attempt to remove it, with like a needle or something like that, and it's really not stuff that is dropped in, but stuff that's come up. And they say you'll see it. The more you use it, these components, you'll start to see that through speakers. I'll see if I can find something.
I'd be afraid to try to stick a needle down in there for any reason, because then you're going to puncture the speaker potentially. So
yeah, I didn't say it was a wise.
I'd be afraid to crack open a MacBook.
Yeah. That's Eric.
I kind of wonder if this is going to make a difference for people wanting to do self repairs, because it sounds like a much more complicated repair, a lot more components you have to take out and put back. That it may not be worth it for people to say, "Oh yeah, I want to do it myself," and order the kit and the parts and follow the 18-page instructions. It's fairly simple to just yank off a lid and reconnect a new one and send in the other part?
If the MacBook disassembly is sufficiently easy, maybe. But I haven't seen one of the brand new MacBooks, but I don't think the design is that much different. And I'm not sure how. I don't believe they're very easy to get into.
Yeah, but getting into it enough to replace the lid is one thing. Getting into it enough to take the lid off and take it apart to get to the speakers, there's a lot more to that.
I would think so. Brian?
I was just thinking maybe this connected at all to Europe's right to repair laws. And I was just reading through, it's just the Wikipedia on it, just kind of seeing if anything came out. It does highlight there about, end users and independent repair providers being able to access original spare parts and necessary tools, and then follows up by saying that those repairs should not be hindered by software programming, that type of thing. So I'm not sure if it connects 100%, but yeah, just to see if there was any connection there.
It's a fair point, because that is something we've talked enough about, some of the EU's initiatives on the show, but it seems like everybody is pushing initiatives like this. That they want things to be designed for easier repairs, easier access. I'm not sure that doesn't fly in the face of a lot of what Apple has done to improve both the user experience and the design of products, because we had removable components a long time ago, or at least a lot easier to remove components a long time ago. But the boxes they were put into were also a lot bigger, a lot bulkier, not nearly as attractive. So, Marty, you found something?
Yeah, it's it apparently not all the dots in your speaker grills are actually holes for speakers. There's an aesthetic portion of it. So when the paint chips off of that, it looks like something is in the speaker grill, and it's not in the speaker grill. So that was the misnomer. It's not necessarily coming through, but people attempting to clean it can make it worse.
Okay. I'm just reading what you... In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll paste that into the chat room for them to see.
This came from Lifehacker like a month ago.
Okay. That makes a certain amount of sense. Oh, sorry, chat room. It's too big to paste in. It'll see if I can paste a piece of it anyway.
I can paste it in parts if you want me to, Chuck.
If you don't mind, Marty.
You go on with the show.
Just so they can see it. Because what they're saying, after you understand it, it makes sense that what it could be. And they're saying that using a brush or vacuum is the last thing you want to do to try to fix it. And then they explain why, which makes perfect sense. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.